General Yi receives a mission from the Qin king to escort the Korean princess into the palace. However, as he reaches out to receive the princess from the Korean ambassador, they are ambushed by an arrow from the Korean general hiding in the mountains. It turns out the princess and the general had a past relationship, and the general, still in love with her, is willing to oppose the Qin kingdom for her. He orders an attack, sending countless fireballs rolling down the cliff towards the convoy, causing chaos and panic. He rushes forward to save the princess's carriage from the fireballs, but the startled horse runs towards the cliff edge. In a moment of peril, he ties the carriage reins to his waist, using his body to control the carriage from falling. Meanwhile, the Korean general arrives and demands the princess return to Korea. Faced with the stark contrast between Yi's selfless act and the Korean general's selfish intentions, the princess makes her decision. After listening to the princess's plea, the Korean general, instead of relenting, ties another reins around himself and draws his sword to kill Yi. A fierce sword fight ensues between them, with neither gaining the upper hand. At a critical moment, Yi's reins loosen, and in his attempt to grab them, he gets struck by a sword. Just as the carriage begins to plummet, Yi retaliates and fatally stabs the Korean general, saving the princess. However, they both fall off the cliff along with the carriage, plunging into the river below. In the next moment, archaeologist Jackie awakens from a vivid dream. Troubled by its realism, he records the dream scene for further investigation. His friend William calls, inviting him to discuss mysterious phenomena in nature. Jackie had written an article about a legend where an Indian emperor ascended to heaven upon death, with his coffin floating in midair. This article inspires William, a scientist, to suggest a collaborative research effort to explore such phenomena scientifically. Reluctant at first, Jackie eventually agrees to accompany William to India. Disguised as worshippers, they sneak into a tomb and witness the floating coffin and a sword. As Jackie documents the coffin's inscriptions, William chips off a gemstone from a statue's eye, inadvertently causing the coffin to fall towards him. As the coffin opens, they see a portrait inside, resembling the princess from Jackie's dream. The commotion attracts the guards' attention, and they attack Jackie and William. Jackie evades their attacks and defends himself with a shield before seizing a spear to disarm them. With some quick maneuvers, he manages to suspend the guard's sword on the spear. As the guards are left unarmed, Jackie explains their innocence. William intervenes and knocks out the guards, allowing them to escape the temple. Outside, worshippers pursue them, and as William boards a waiting helicopter, worshippers hurl stones at them. To ensure safety, the helicopter takes off, leaving the worshippers behind. Left alone at the edge of the cliff, Jackie faces the worshippers' siege. He runs along the cliff edge, but slips and falls into the river, entering into a dream. General Yi and the princess, surviving the fall, are hunted by Korean soldiers. Yi fights desperately, and when one of them holds the princess hostage, Yi is torn. As he hesitates, a soldier stabs him in the waist. Seizing the opportunity, Yi pulls the soldier towards the princess, then swiftly strikes him down. With the crisis averted, Yi collapses from his severe injuries. The princess attempts to help him, but Yi, bound by protocol, refuses her assistance and faints. Seeing his condition, the princess takes him into a cave and stitches his wounds with her hair, saving his life. With nowhere else to go, they recuperate in the cave. As snow falls, Yi, determined to protect the sleeping princess, sits alone at the cave entrance. Unable to bear seeing him suffer, the princess invites him inside to rest, only to find him stiff and cold. To save Yi, she undresses and warms him with her body. Through the harsh winter, they care for each other, and as spring arrives, they emerge from the cave, shedding their winter coats. She tells him that this dance is only for him. The princess dances gracefully on the cliff. He watches her mesmerizing movements, deeply captivated. After enduring life and death together, they have developed feelings for each other. Yet their disparate statuses force them to face reality. Journeying day and night, they finally arrive at the foot of the Great Wall. The princess is soon to reach the Qin king's palace, while Yi can fulfill his mission. However, the princess expresses her desire to elope with Yi, only to be firmly rejected. Yi reminds her of her identity as the Korean princess, bound to marry the Qin king for the sake of her people. The princess enters the palace, feeling despondent. Meanwhile, Jackie, outside the dream, floats down the river and is rescued by an elephant. Upon waking, he visits a nearby temple and meets a venerable monk. The monk, awaiting his arrival, wishes to see the ancient sword brought from the coffin. The monk tosses the sword to Jackie and challenges him to a duel. Jackie is forced to fight back when the monk attacks. As he grips the sword, memories of Yi flood his mind. 2,000 years ago, Yi had faced a similar battle with an Indian prince. In an instant, Jackie and Yi share a soul connection, and their swordsmanship intertwines. With agile strikes, Jackie defeats the monk, demonstrating a newfound mastery of the sword. Witnessing this scene, the monk tells Jackie that it's the result of past lives' karma. However, Jackie refuses to believe in past lives and shares his dream with the monk in hopes of unraveling its mysteries. The monk, smiling faintly, encourages Jackie to seek the answers himself. After much contemplation, Jackie decides to go to Xi'an, believing that the terracotta army might hold the key to his questions. Meanwhile, William discovers through instruments that the mineral is a meteorite from beyond the solar system. Excitedly, William rushes to Xi'an to meet Jackie and share the news. However, to William's dismay, Jackie decides to donate all the artifacts from the tomb to the museum, infuriating William. Yet Jackie calmly explains that ancient relics belong to all world. After hearing Jackie's explanation, William leaves in frustration. He seeks out Dragon, who has been funding his research and appears to be an archaeology enthusiast but is actually a tomb raider. Dragon, intrigued by Jackie's dream, persuades William to help Jackie uncover its mysteries. If successful, Dragon stands to gain numerous artifacts, and William could become a renowned scientist. On the other hand, Jackie attempts to gather information from books about the events from 2,000 years ago, and his memories transport him back to the Qin Dynasty. At that time, Emperor Qin Shi Huang was old and nearing death with only the elixir of life capable of prolonging his life. Although the elixir had been prepared, the general tasked with escorting it was besieged by rebel forces. Simultaneously, chaos ensued in the palace, with two princes planning to seize the throne and have the princess buried alive with Emperor Qin. He orders the army to protect the convoy while he personally leads a mission to reclaim the elixir. Aware of the perilous journey ahead, the princess instructs Yi to be cautious and return safely. Yi sets off on horseback, while the rebel forces, allied with the second prince, aim to intercept the elixir to hasten Emperor Qin's demise and aid the second prince's ascent to the throne. Positioned on a hilltop, the rebels demand the elixir's surrender, threatening violence if their demands aren't met. The general insists that only Yi can receive the elixir. Negotiations fail, and combat erupts, with the rebel archers swiftly overwhelming their opponents. At that moment, Yi arrives, and both sides engage in fierce battle. To buy the princess a chance at survival, Yi fights valiantly but is ultimately overpowered. Despite his overwhelming odds, Yi's soldiers sacrifice themselves to escort him and his trusted aides away from the battlefield. However, they fall into an ambush set by the rebels, resulting in Yi's horse being shot dead by arrows. With no way out, Yi throws the elixir to his aide, entrusting him with their last hope. Understanding the gravity of Yi's decision, the aide reluctantly accepts his responsibility and rides off. With his men's lives on the line, Yi defiantly wields his spear, slaying wave after wave of oncoming enemies. Seeing Yi's resilience, the rebel leader is impressed but realizes that only one of them can survive. Thus, he makes the decision to end Yi's life, shooting an arrow that pierces Yi's body. Using his sword for support, Yi refuses to fall, determined to keep fighting. Witnessing Yi's determination, the rebel leader approaches with respect before beheading Yi with a single stroke of his sword. Jackie wakes up from his dream, and William visits him, apologizing for the previous incident with the artifacts. He provides Jackie with an important clue. After surveying the terrain of Xi'an, he discovered that the waterfall Jackie dreamed of actually exists. Immediately, they set off to investigate. Using instruments, they find a cave behind the waterfall with a vast space inside. Feeling closer to the truth, Jackie decides to enter the cave. Using a spring mechanism, he leaps from the top of the waterfall and rushes into the cave's depths. Inside, he is astonished by the vast space but collapses from exhaustion. When he awakens, he finds a princess dressed in white watching over him. This time, it's not a dream but reality. It turns out that after the elixir was delivered to the Qin palace, the chancellor forced the princess to test it with her life. As a result, she gained eternal life while Emperor Qin, who sought eternal youth, met his demise. Since then, the princess has been waiting here for Yi's return. Over 2,000 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Jackie is deeply moved, and in this moment, his consciousness merges with Yi's. Unexpectedly, a figure wielding a sword flies towards them and attacks Jackie without hesitation. Jackie picks up a weapon from the ground and struggles to defend himself, but he gradually loses ground and is eventually overpowered, with his opponent holding a sword to his throat. Seeing this, the princess rushes forward to intervene. As Jackie looks at the person before him, he suddenly remembers him as the aide from his dream. The chancellor had coerced the aide to also partake in the elixir test. Since then, the aide faithfully followed Yi's instructions and protected the princess for 2,000 years, awaiting Yi's return. Jackie, unwilling to disappoint their expectations, reveals that Yi had died under the rebel's sword. Upon hearing this, the aide is stunned. However, the cave entrance is suddenly blasted open, revealing William and Dragon. Both are astonished by the spectacular sight, never imagining that Emperor had used the power of a meteorite to create a gravity-defying space. This sparks their greed, desiring to claim the space for themselves. Seeing this, the aide leaps onto higher ground. Dragon's greed intensifies as he seeks the secret of eternal life and tries to control William. Recognizing Dragon's true intentions, the aide attacks him with his sword. However, his sword is swiftly broken by a bullet, and he is quickly overwhelmed by Dragon's men. Despite his efforts, the aide is outnumbered and forced to flee. Dragon seizes the princess, demanding she reveal the elixir's location. The aide intervenes but is already injured, and after a brief struggle, he is knocked down by Dragon. In their next confrontation, Dragon pins him down by his wound, and then delivers a heavy blow. At this moment, the princess realizes the danger she's in and reluctantly discloses the elixir's whereabouts. Excited, Dragon grabs the princess and prepares to leave. At this critical moment, Jackie steps forward. The two engage in combat, exchanging blows with their fists. Despite Jackie's agility, he lacks strength and is eventually knocked down by Dragon. Seeing the princess being bullied, Jackie swiftly rises and kicks Dragon away, shielding the princess behind him. Meanwhile, William, harboring malicious intentions towards a bronze statue embedded with a meteorite, is suddenly crushed by a flying terracotta warrior. The mechanism is triggered, causing meteorites to fall within the chamber, and William gradually sinks into the ground, about to be engulfed by mercury. Jackie wants to rescue him, but the terracotta warrior is too heavy for him to move. Knowing his impending fate, William asks for Jackie's forgiveness before being swallowed by the mercury. Upon learning Jackie's name, the princess becomes even more uncertain if he is Yi. The underground chamber collapses. Jackie urgently tries to take the princess to safety, but she refuses, insisting on staying until he returns. With a leap, she descends into the chamber, while Jackie manages to escape just before the stone door closes. It's only at this moment that the princess finally understands that the person before her is not Yi. He won't sacrifice himself to accompany her in life and death. Meanwhile, Dragon remains immersed in the dream of eternal life as he approaches the celestial palace. However, the aide grabs his ankle, causing both to plummet into the depths. Jackie, who escaped, returns to the shore via the waterfall. Afterward, he never dreams of the princess again. To commemorate this extraordinary experience, he writes a book called The Myth and prints the princess's portrait on the cover.